comments. Let's go to Congressman Collin Peterson.
Well, thank you very much, Lynn, and thank you everybody for being here today. I'll try to be relatively brief. I agree with Bob that this Waters in the U.S. Rule that's out there that potentially is one of the biggest problems that we're going to face, you know, coming up in the future. I have immediately after reading it came out in opposition to it, and I have been working in any way that I can to try to stop this. And you know, I've had Jane McCarthy in my office 3 times to talk about this. And to be fair to her, she thinks that she's helping us. She does. She thinks that she's somehow or another this is clarifying the law and simplifying it and whatever. And it's going to make it easier for farmers to determine what's a wetland and what isn't. Well, first of all, this is a 300-page rule. Now, I defy anybody to tell me that you're going to have a 300-page rule that's going to simplify or clarify anything. In my opinion, what this is going to do is give people the opportunity to go in and, you know, change all kinds of things that are already, some people think, settled. So in the House, we passed a bill to stop it by a pretty good margin. The appropriation process was also moving ahead to stop the funding of the rule, but that got stopped because of some other things that are going on with trying to get rid of the sugar program and the Club for Growth and so forth. And then also what I've been pushing for some time is to use the Congressional Review Act, which is something that I was involved in way back in the 90s, which gives the Congress the authority to stop a rule the first 60 days after it's promulgated. But the Republicans were reluctant to use it, and I couldn't get the leadership to agree to move ahead with it. Now, Adrian Smith finally introduced a resolution to stop the rule, and I signed on to that as well. So the long and short of it is, I'm doing everything I can to stop this, but in the end of the day, I'm not sure the Senate's going to move, number one. Number two, even if the Senate moved, we'd probably get a veto, and I don't believe there's any way we're going to get a override of the veto. So the way we're going to resolve this, Bob, is by a lawsuit, I think. And you guys are suing, if I'm not mistaken. A number of states are suing. And I guess the best I can say is that, you know, hopefully we'll be able to tie this thing up in court until we get a new administration. Because I cannot get these guys to understand. And again, I don't think it's the EPA, I think it's some of these kind of environmental extremists that they got in the White House that are pushing this. But it potentially could be a big problem. You know, on the other issues, the biggest issue that I've been dealing with the last 3 months outside of the Farm Bill has been this avian influenza situation. And I have to give the department pretty good marks for dealing with this. You know, we were in a crisis and things could have been better. It could have been too complicated, too much paperwork, I understand all that. But given what we were facing, I think the department did a pretty good job. Dr. Clifford and other people in APHIS, as well as the state. Give credit to the governor, the legislature, you know, Dr. Hartman, the Board of Health. Everybody pulled together along with the industry to deal with this. Now, at the federal level, we have an indemnity program where we've been coming in and paying people when they depopulate their facilities. We've got 100 and some facilities that have been depopulated, and you know, that program has the right incentives, because the sooner you're identified under that, the sooner they take over payment, which is the right incentive. We still have some holes, I think, in terms of 3-4 months before somebody gets back into business. There's really no way to cover that, so we're looking into whether we should have some kind of business interruption insurance. And I think that's a possibility. The other thing we're working on is a vaccine that was been worked on by the department or the University of Georgia, Dr. Swain. We had a hearing last Thursday. They have a 100% effective vaccine for chickens. We're going to get an announcement this week. We think we'll have a 100% effective vaccine for turkeys. And what I'm doing is pushing to get that vaccine made available to our producers. They have gone from Dr. Clifford initially was opposed to the vaccine. He's now on board supporting it. Now they have come on board supporting stockpiling it and commercializing it. So the last thing will be, we get all that done, making it available to the producers. Now we're getting opposition from the southern broilers primarily because they're concerned that it's going to hurt their export market. So we're in the process now of talking to all of the trading partners to see if we can have a limited vaccination program in Minnesota, Iowa, South Dakota, and Wisconsin. If we will guarantee that nothing out of our area will go into the export market, and we're hoping by this fall that we're going to have some kind of a resolution to that. So for the last 3 months, you know, I've been on the phone, I don't know how many times, to Dr. Clifford and to the Secretary and to the industry, working through this. We now have 40-some operations that have been repopulated. We're in the process of getting the rest of them up and running. And this is a huge issue for my district because we are the #1 turkey district in the country. We're also a big layer producer in Minnesota. And, you know, we need to make sure we get better biosecurity, get this vaccination program established, and do what we can to help the industry get back on its feet. I could talk about a lot of other things, but I've already talked longer than I expected. So thank you very much, and I'll turn it over back to you, Ed.
Okay, let's go to